Welcome to the Phil Davidson Show. The former Vietnam veteran and currently practicing attorney Phil Davidson presents entertaining guests and short features from his novel Dreamer. And now, here is Phil Davidson.
Today I want to read the first chapter in the book, and the reason I want to read the first chapter, having read two in the middle of the book, is that it sort of sets the tone for something that I've written quite a bit about and talked about, was post-traumatic stress disorder, which Vietnam veterans and our veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan suffer from today. The book takes place in 1982. The backdrop, of course, is the Falklands War, but that's simply a backdrop for the book. And so what you're going to see in the first chapter, obviously, it's hard when you're listening to it to understand what was going on, but when you read it, you understand that David is actually dreaming. Chapter 1, Alexandria, Virginia, March 1st, 1982. In the cold darkness of his mind, David could see them again. Like hunted animals, they scurried through the knee-deep rice paddy water, slipping and falling, cursing and gasping for breath. Above, unseen in the blackness of the night, fast-moving clouds unleashed a torrent of monsoon rain that fell across them in rippling waves. Suddenly they froze. Overhead, sizzling noises broke the dull drone of the rain as the sky became filled with flickering candle flares. He dove into the filthy water and fitfully pawed his way along the muddy bottom of the paddy until he reached an earthen dike. Lying with his face against the muddy slope, he could only sense the desperate gathering of the gray silhouettes of his men as one by one pressed up against the dike like boats seeking the protection of moorings in a storm. He looked down at the luminous dial of his Rolex. They were fast running out of night. Before the sun came up, he had to lead his men across the vast expanse of flat rice plain to an obscure island of jungle where they could hide during the day and wait to escape the next night under the cover of darkness. One by one, the flares burned out and the sky became dark once again. Cautiously, he raised his head. Had they been quick enough, or had they been seen, caught in the open like deer stunned by the headlights of a car? He turned to his men. He knew they were exhausted. For the better part of an hour, they had been moving at a dead run. In the distance behind them, the fires from the burning village gave off a faint, shimmering glow. But it was not how tired they all were, or the downpour of the rain, or Keaton's heavy breathing that most troubled him. It was Jude's haunting face. Even in the darkness, he could see it. Could feel Jude watching his every move, waiting for what he knew was coming, for what he knew David would soon have to do. "Where am I?" he asked the darkness. "On course," answered a voice, powerful and alluring. He reached out to touch the voice, but found nothing there. "Dawi, why did you have to bring him with us?" Force asked as he crouched next to him in the water. He grabbed Force's shoulder strap and pulled him close to his face. "Get the hell back, Sergeant. We couldn't just leave him there," he hissed. "I was afraid we were lost," he said to the darkness. He lifted the lensatic compass that was securely tied around his neck and flicked its cover open. The rain was coming down so hard it was impossible to read its dial. So he took off his beret, held it against his forehead, and brought the compass up to his face. He smiled. The two illuminated dots had nestled correctly between them, the compass's arrowhead indicating he was guiding the team in the right direction. He closed the compass, let it fall, and climbed to the top of the dike. In the darkness, he could hardly make out the huddled figures of his men, who had spread themselves along the dike in various dark contortions.
You have been listening to the Phil Davidson Show. For questions or comments about today's program, you may visit Phil on his website, dreamernoveltalk.com. That's dreamernoveltalk.com. His Blog Talk Radio address is blogtalkradio.com/Phil Davidson. Thank you so much for joining us this week on the program, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Phil Davidson Show.